It was a quiet afternoon, and the house felt unusually still without John. My husband around. He was off on one of his weekend fishing trips with his old college friends, something he'd started doing more often in recent months. I didn't mind the solitude, but this time I wasn't completely alone. Mark, my son-in-law, had come by to help with a few repairs around the house. Mark was always the helpful type, tall with an easy smile and a calm demeanor. He had the kind of charm that made people feel comfortable around him. My daughter Lisa had found herself a good man, and I was genuinely happy for them. But there were times when I wondered if their relationship was as strong as it seemed. The strain of their busy lives and the pressures of starting a family seemed to weigh on both of them. As I finished folding laundry in the bedroom, I heard Mark's footsteps approaching from down the hall. He appeared at the door looking slightly flustered. "Hey, I hate to bother you, but the bathroom sink is giving me trouble. Mind taking a look?" I raised an eyebrow, surprised. Mark was pretty handy with these things. I couldn't imagine him needing my help with something as simple as a sink. Still, I nodded and followed him down the hall. The bathroom was small, clean, and brightly lit by the afternoon sun streaming through the window. Mark knelt by the sink, fiddling with the faucet. "It's leaking a bit. I just wanted to show you in case you need to call a plumber later." I leaned over, slightly peering at the sink. "Looks fine to me," I said. But as I turned to leave, Mark's voice stopped me. "There's actually something else I wanted to talk to you about," he said, his tone quieter now. I paused, unsure what he meant. "What is it?" Mark stood up, his expression a little more serious now. "It's kind of personal," he admitted, glancing down at the floor before looking back at me. My stomach did a small flip. This was unusual for him, but curiosity got the best of me. "Go on," I encouraged. Folding my arms, he hesitated for a moment, as if gathering his thoughts. "It's about Lisa," he finally said, exhaling deeply. "Things have been strained between us lately. We've been arguing a lot, and honestly, I don't know what to do anymore. I love her, but he trailed off, and I could sense the frustration and confusion in his voice. I wasn't sure how to respond. It wasn't my place to get involved in their marriage problems. But at the same time, Mark was family. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said softly. "Have you tried talking to her?" Maybe that's the thing, he interrupted, shaking his head. "Talking doesn't seem to work anymore. She's always busy, always stressed. And I feel like I'm losing her." His eyes met mine, and for a brief moment, I saw something in them that made me uncomfortable. It was a mixture of vulnerability and something else. Something I couldn't quite put my finger on. I stood there feeling a wave of unease wash over me. Mark's eyes, usually so warm and kind, now carried a weight that unsettled me. I wasn't sure where this conversation was going, but the intensity in his gaze made me hesitate. "Mark," I said gently, "every marriage has its ups and downs. You and Lisa will find your way through this. She loves you, you know that." He nodded, but there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. "I thought so too, but lately I feel like she's distant. I don't know how to connect with her anymore." His voice was strained, and I could tell he was holding something back. I stepped closer, placing a hand on his arm. "You two need to take some time for yourselves. Life gets hectic, and it's easy to lose sight of what's important." I wanted to steer the conversation back to safer ground, away from whatever was brewing beneath the surface. But Mark didn't seem ready to move on. Instead, he let out a deep breath and looked away, his hand rubbing the back of his neck, in a nervous gesture I'd never seen from him before. "There's more to it than that," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've been feeling... I don't know how to say this without sounding wrong. but I've been feeling drawn to you." My heart skipped a beat. I blinked, unsure if I'd heard him correctly. What I stammered, stepping back slightly, unsure how to react. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. Seeing the shock on my face, "I don't mean to make things awkward, but I can't ignore it anymore. You've always been there for me, always so understanding, and when things with Lisa get hard, I feel like you're the only one who really listens." I stared at him, my mind racing. This wasn't happening, Mark. My son-in-law was confessing feelings for me. I opened my mouth to speak, but no words came out. How had we even gotten to this point? The air between us felt thick with tension, and I didn't know how to break it. "I'm not saying this to put you in a difficult position." Mark continued, his voice calm but insistent. "I just needed to be honest with you. I don't expect anything from you. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from." I felt the bathroom walls closing in on me. The small space suddenly too tight. "Mark," I began, finding my voice. "You can't be serious. You're married to my daughter. Whatever you're feeling, it's not right." "I know," he said quickly, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "Believe me, I know. But it doesn't change how I feel. I'm not asking for anything to happen between us, I don't know, I guess I just needed to say it." Silence hung in the air, the weight of his words pressing down on both of us. I didn't know what to say, how to react. I felt a swirl of emotions, shock, confusion, and a strange unfamiliar guilt. Was it something I had done? Had I given him the wrong impression? I shook my head, trying to clear my thoughts. "Mark, I think you're confused. You're going through a rough time, and maybe that's clouding your judgment. But this isn't right. You need to talk to Lisa. Work things out with her." He looked at me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he nodded slowly. "You're probably right," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. I turned toward the door, desperate to escape the tension in the room. But just as I reached for the handle, Mark's hand gently caught my wrist. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. "Please," he said softly, his voice low. "Don't leave like this." My heart pounded as Mark's hand held my wrist, his grip firm but not forceful. I stood there, torn between wanting to pull away and wanting to say something that would make this whole situation vanish, as if it had never happened. The bathroom, once just a familiar part of the house, now felt like a trap. "Mark, you need to let go," I said quietly, though there was a tremor in my voice. I wasn't sure if it was from fear or the sheer disbelief of what was happening. He slowly released my wrist, and I could see the conflict in his eyes. He wasn't trying to hurt me. That much was clear. But his confusion, his vulnerability, and the intensity of his emotions were creating a situation that neither of us should have been in. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I just didn't want to leave things on a bad note. I don't want you to think poorly of me." I let out a shaky breath and leaned against the door for support. "Mark, I don't think poorly of you. But this..." I gestured between us, trying to find the right words. "This can't happen, whatever you're feeling. It's not real. You're just going through a rough patch with Lisa. And you're looking for comfort in the wrong place." He nodded, though he didn't seem entirely convinced. "Maybe you're right," he admitted, but there was still a flicker of doubt in his eyes. "But I can't help how I feel." I pressed my lips together, unsure how to respond. The room was filled with a silence so thick it was almost suffocating. I needed to end this, to walk away before things got even more complicated. "Mark, listen to me," I said, keeping my voice steady. "You love Lisa. I've seen it in the way you look at her, the way you care for her. You're just confused right now. You need to focus on fixing things with her, not looking for answers elsewhere." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in his expression. "I know you're right," he muttered. "But it's just hard. Every time I try to talk to her, it feels like she's not really listening. And with you, it's different. You've always been there for me, and I've always felt this connection." I shook my head, cutting him off. "Mark, that's because I care about you as my son-in-law. As family, nothing more. This can't be anything else." His shoulders slumped, and for a moment, he looked so defeated that I almost felt sorry for him. But I couldn't allow myself to soften, not when the situation was so precarious. "I understand," he said after a long pause. "I shouldn't have said anything. I don't know, I didn't know where else to turn." I reached for the door again, feeling the overwhelming need to escape. "You need to talk to Lisa. You both need to talk and figure this out together. But this conversation, it ends here. Do you understand?" He nodded, his eyes downcast. "Yeah, I understand." I opened the door and stepped out into the hallway. The cool air outside the bathroom, feeling like a relief after the suffocating tension inside. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. But before I could take another step, Mark spoke again, his voice stopping me in my tracks. "There's something else," he said. His tone hesitant, I turned slowly. My heart sinking. "What is it, Mark?" He shifted uncomfortably, avoiding my gaze. "I don't think I can talk to Lisa. Not about this." My stomach turned. "What do you mean?" He glanced up at me, his expression conflicted. "There's more going on than just the arguments. I don't think she's been honest with me." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What are you saying?" Mark's eyes were filled with uncertainty as he struggled to find the right words. "I think Lisa's hiding something from me. Something big." I stared at Mark, trying to process what he had just said. "What do you mean Lisa's hiding something?" I asked, my heart pounding. Mark looked uncomfortable, avoiding my eyes. "I don't know for sure, but she's been distant. Always on her phone, making excuses to leave the house. When I ask her, she gets defensive. I feel like there might be someone else." His words hit me hard, my daughter cheating. It didn't seem possible, but I couldn't ignore the way Mark looked so defeated. "Have you talked to her about this?" I asked carefully. "I've tried," Mark said, shaking his head, "but she shuts me out. I don't know if I'm just paranoid or if there's something going on, but it's driving me crazy." I felt a mixture of disbelief and concern. Part of me wanted to defend Lisa, but another part feared that maybe Mark wasn't wrong. Their marriage had been strained, and Lisa had seemed more distracted lately. "Mark, you need to have an honest conversation with her," I said, trying to stay calm. "Don't accuse her. Just tell her how you're feeling. You won't get answers unless you talk." Mark sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know, I just don't know how to do that without making things worse." "You have to try," I said gently. "You owe it to yourself and to Lisa to figure out what's really going on. Avoiding it isn't helping." He looked up at me, his eyes filled with uncertainty. "You're right, I'm scared of what I'll find out." I stepped closer, softening my tone. "I get it, but if there's any chance of fixing this, you both need to be honest with each other." For a long moment we stood there, the weight of our conversation heavy between us. I could see the conflict in Mark's face, and I knew this wasn't going to be easy for him, but this was something he had to handle with Lisa. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I'm sorry for dragging you into this." "You didn't drag me into anything," I said with a small smile. "But now you need to talk to her. She's the one who needs to hear this, not me." He nodded, looking a little more resolved. I'll talk to her, I promise. I turned to leave, but Mark's voice stopped me one last time. For what it's worth, I appreciate you listening. I hope you don't think badly of me. I paused, offering him a soft smile. We all go through tough times, Mark. Just remember what really matters. Your marriage and your family. As I walked away, I realized I'd done what I could. Now it was up to him and Lisa to figure out the rest.